You're watching the American Conference on ESPN. And we are at the Fertitta Center, where the undefeated and 20th ranked Houston Cougars play host tonight to an upstart Utah State. Welcome courtside, everybody. I'm Dave Raymond. In this season of giving, who better to be with us than the all-time assist leader here at Houston, Reed Geddes. Reed, we're blessed tonight with really a fantastic basketball matchup here.
I'm looking forward to this game. I mean, these are two teams that score a lot of points, but their identity is on the defensive end, and this is going to be a great matchup and arguably one of the two best games in the country tonight.
Yeah, and while they do play great defense, let's make no mistake, Sam Merrill can fill it up on the offensive end.
He is an elite level scorer and maybe one of the best shooters in all of America. He averages 20 points per game, leads the Aggies in scoring and assists, and if U of H is going to have a chance of matching up with him, Galen Robinson, this week's American Athletic Conference Player of the Week, has got his hands full with this backcourt from Utah State.
Well, they got this thing started quickly tonight. It jumped us just a little bit, and the first possession for Utah State goes for naught. So the Cougars with a stop, and now a chance on the offensive end.
Well, it's perfect they started early, because that's one of my keys to this game is how do both teams start. The Utah State Aggies have been great the first 10 minutes. The Cougars have really struggled. I think the first 10 minutes are going to be key for both teams.
Well, so they want to get off to quick starts, and they did get off to a quick start. Merrill with a basketball. We highlighted him just a moment ago, and he can shoot. Easy little leaner.
But he's an elite level scorer, and he's not just a shooter. His shooting percentages are off the chart. And the real challenge for Corey Davis is you can't press up on him because he is an outstanding free throw shooter. 91%. You cannot foul Sam Merrill.
Well, you saw the numbers there in the first 5 minutes of the game, the absolute dominance for Utah State. Houston goes inside down low, and the defensive presence this year for Utah State makes a big difference in there, and they'll go right to him on the offensive end. Keita kicks it out. Brock Miller got it to fall. Well, and Utah State jumps out 5-0.
A lot of challenges, some great matchups on the floor, but you talked about Keita inside. He is an incredibly long, athletic kid, blocking almost 3 shots a game for Utah State.
Well, Cougars, a couple of times trying to drive in. Instead, Brooks this time fires from outside. And it's no good. One and done for the Cougars.
Yeah, exactly what we talked about. Craig Smith's Aggies are off to a good start. They're executing. They're getting good shots. Down on the other end, Houston has struggled in both their possessions.
First year for Craig Smith at Utah State. And he's had a lot of success in South Dakota the last 4 years. Part of that as an assistant at Colorado State under Tim Miles, now head man with the Huskers. Down low, and Taylor's long jumper, no good, an air ball, and Houston comes away with it. Robinson, the conference player of the week, kicks it out. Open 3, no good for Ali.
Utah State comes into this game 4th in the country in rebound margin. They lead the Mountain West Conference in offensive rebounding and defensive rebounding.
Keita way out there. Now, he'll do that occasionally, not probably the shot they're looking for.
Well, his 3rd attempt, he has made 1.
Brooks trying to create on the dribble and loses it. Merrill and the Aggies up quickly. And Brooks almost got that one away from Miller. Jumper no good. Tipped out, and good hustle by Utah State to try and keep that alive. And the basketball will stay with the Aggies.
The Aggies have some very good perimeter shooters. Kelvin Sampson knows that you've got to match up on the shooters, but Crew Ainge running the point is not one of them. Coming into this game, just 2 for 9 from behind the line. So expect to watch Galen Robinson and whoever's match up with Crew Ainge going underneath the screens and daring him to take that shot.
Oh, here we are, almost 4 minutes into this one. Houston hasn't scored yet. Utah State with the 5 quick points. And a chance up top for Miller, no good. And the defensive rebound for Cedric Alley.
Good box out by Cedric Alley.
Robinson, step back kick out. Good perimeter defense. And a long jumper, no good, but an offensive board that time for Alley.
Well, the Cougars starting this game 0 for 5 from the floor. Crew Ainge and his Aggies off to a good start.
Inside, 16 to go, and what a start for the Aggies on the road, 5-0. Well, a little accounting work done during the break. They changed that earlier believed to be 3-point shot to a 2-point basket for Utah State. But regardless, the Aggies with a 4-0 lead, and we're talking about how they really set out to improve defensively this year. These first 4 minutes have been proof of that.
Well, they come into this game in the Mountain West Conference. They are first in scoring defense. They are first in field goal percentage defense. And they are first in 3-point field goal percentage defense. So if Craig Smith started this season with a point of emphasis down on the defensive end, he's got to be pleased with the way his Aggies have started this season and the way they have started this game.
I see some of his career numbers and real good run at South Dakota. And on the inbound, an opportunity for Cedric Allen. He draws another foul. Now the foul, as we went to break, was charged to Sam Merrill. And this now the second team foul for Utah State. And this one against Keita, his first.
If you're Houston, right now, Kelvin Sampson, I'm running plays and I go at Keita. When you've got a shot blocker, and Keita's going to come and get a lot of his blocks off the ball, but you got one quick foul on him. Well, next time down, go right back at him. If you pick up 2 quick fouls, then Craig Smith's got a really tough decision to make with his 6'11" freshman.
It is one of those things that jumps off the stat sheet too. I think they had 37 fouls in their first 11 games, fouled out on 2 different occasions already. So it's a very, obviously, a good percentage play to get after him quickly. Utah State, offensively, it's not like they've shown, and they'll turn one over right here.
Really good rotation on the weak side, helped by Cedric Alley. Now the Cougars need a good possession. They need a good execution down on the offensive end and a clean look at the basket.
You got the freshman in there hitting. He's open in the corner. Pass up on the jumper, on the drive, can't get it to fall.
Don't think that qualified as the good shot that Kelvin Sampson was hoping for.
Well, not the one you draw up, but
no.
Keita, for a big fella, not afraid to handle it a little bit out on the perimeter. Boxed out that time, and the rebound comes down to the Cougars.
A good transition defense by Merle, getting out on Corey Davis.
Into the lane, jumper no good, and the rebound off Utah State, and will stay with the Cougars.
See, that's what I was talking about. Keita's going to come over. He's going to try to block everything that comes into the paint, and the challenge for Keita is to go straight up and contest those shots, not get those long arms out on top of somebody's head.
What a huge difference he has made this year for this team defensively. Maybe allowing them to play a little more aggressively out on the perimeter. So 14 on the shot clock for the Cougars. Inside 10 seconds, Davis pulls up. That one's short. And the rebound again tipped off of Utah State. Now Cougars still looking for that first made basket. Good inbounds into Hinton, and the freshman loses it. That will come back with Utah State.
Well, good execution on the baseline out of bounds play. Nate Hinton got the ball and just lost control of it. Kelvin Sampson's furious. He's already gone to his bench. He's got 3 subs in, and he's looking for something positive early in this game.
Merrill gives it up into the corner, and the 3-ball on the way, and that one is good. Dwayne Brown Jr., the senior from Conyers, Georgia.
Well, Utah State's played 11 games. That is just the 7th three-point field goal made by Dwayne Brown. But, well, he shot that ball with confidence.
Yeah. And now 7 for 22 this year from three-point land. A good drive on the left side, and that one will get him to the line. Robinson, a reigning player of the week in the American Conference.
2 outstanding games against LSU and St. Louis, and you've seen more of this from Galen Robinson this season. He is a premier passer in the American Athletic Conference. He's got a terrific assist-to-turnover ratio of 3-to-1, but he is scoring more for Kelvin Sampson and the Cougars, averaging 10 points to go along with his 4 rebounds and 6 assists.
On his first free throw, refuses to fall.
Well, the Cougars have made a habit. They're 10-0, but they've gotten in a bad rut of digging themselves a hole and then having to play out of it, and they're on their way to starting that way again here this evening.
Well, that one cuts it to a 5-point lead, but inside 14 minutes to go here in the first half. Merrill off the dribble, and that's not a good matchup for him. He'll lose it. Oh, and take it right back by Taylor. On the drive right side, no good. Offensive rebound and a putback for the Aggies. Taylor right there.
Quinn Taylor, 6'8" senior out of Houston, a homecoming game for him. High school, Langham Creek.
Got a lot of family and friends. The basketball team from Langham Creek was hoping to make it out to catch the game today. Now block inside. Dwayne Brown Jr. got a hand on it, and on the follow, Brown called with a foul.
Now you see Fabian White just getting more and more of his basketball legs under him. Missed the start of the season, recovering from a foot injury, and he is playing his way into shape. And one of those relentless kids. He's got a very high motor, and he just sticks with the basketball.
15 points against Oregon a couple of weeks ago. Hits the free throw, completes the 3-point play. Now a 4-point game. So a rocky start for the Cougars, but they seem to have righted the ship these last couple of possessions.
And 4 subs into the game for the University of Houston. Kelvin Sampson relying on that depth. Well, they are double teaming post-entry passes on the dribble.
Merrill out top with it. 5 on the shot clock, gives it up. Brito finds a man in the lane, and that one good. Dwayne Brown Jr. streaking through.
Diogo Brito with a very nice no-look pass. He jumped up, and I thought he was going to travel, and he looked off a defensive player and made a very nice drop-off pass.
Well, Fabian White from distance, just inside the line. 11-7. Well, White with the last 5 points for the Cougars.
A really good movement for Utah State on the offensive end.
Brown again, and this time fouled Fabian White. Got him with a body.
Oh, they called that on Bryson Gresham, and I don't know. You know what you're allowed to do. You're down there in the restricted arc, and Craig Smith sees his defensive player Keita do this all the time. You're allowed to challenge shots as long as you challenge them vertically. If your feet are on the ground, you make the same play. It's an automatic block. If you jump and you leave the ground, then you're allowed to contest the shot. And that's what Kelvin Sampson thought that his 6'7" redshirt sophomore Bryson Gresham did on that play.
Gresham's had a lot of success altering shots this year inside, but whistled with that one, and it's now a 13-7 Utah State lead. Foul way up high. Giroux, like, I mean, just as easily probably could have been called against Giroux. Yeah. Hooked his man, trying to get around him.
Well, the matchups on the floor right now, 5'11" Crew Ainge is guarding DeJon Giroux, who They listed 6'4", but well, you walk out on the court and he's a real 6'7" looking 6'4".
Yeah,
I mean, he is long and athletic, and might be an opportunity to post up Ainge.
Davis. Now, big shot for Davis, big shot for the Cougars. Get it back to a 4-point difference. Meanwhile, up top with it, and we just talked about him earlier, Dwayne Brown hasn't had a lot of success from out there. Misfires that time. Well, Davis feeling it. And he get it to fall. Cougars on a little run. Brito. And that will put a little damper in the enthusiasm here with the Fertitta Center. 16-11.
An outstanding three-point shooter, Diego Brito, shooting 46% behind the line. That is a very high percentage.
There's a real good look in there for White. Not a clean one, and alley-oop wouldn't fall. Gresham was in a perfect spot.
Yeah, that turned out to be a spectacular turnover.
Yeah,
right?
Well, it did.
Well, you got to convert that one.
Ainge, smallest man on the floor out there, 5'11" with the basketball. And Taylor. Offensive rebound, though, once again. Dwayne Brown, somebody's got to put a body on him.
Yeah, he's kind of a microwave player, right? I mean, he comes in and talk about an offensive punch. Had 24 points off the bench earlier this year in a game against Hartford. And, boy, he is instant offense. 9 points so far here, and another rebound for Brown. Up ahead
Good
quickly
pass.
to Brito, and he is stopped.
Boy, Brooks sent him packing, but it will stay with the Aggies. All right, little athleticism.
Yeah, really good hustle by Armani Brooks chasing that down. But, boy, what an impact Dwayne Brown's had early in this game.
A little Thursday night history lesson for folks. They've had some great runs, some great success over the years at home here. The last undefeated home teams, though. Phi Slamma Jamma action in the early 80s. For some of us, that seems like just yesterday.
Well, that team was made up of some really, really athletic guys and a handful of guys that were not so much.
I like that guy right there. Number 44 with the dime. Reed Geddes. Look, those were the days. I mean, it's hard for any school to live up to what you guys were able to do here. Those were some of the most exciting basketball days. And really, you think, I mean, you guys were so critical in the growth of the sport, the explosive growth of college basketball.
You know, one of the things I think Kelvin Sampson has done such a good job of is, look, he's embraced the past. And you go back to Elvin Hayes and Don Chaney and Sweet Lou Dunbar, and he's embraced, you know, the teams that I was on, the Phi Slamma Jamma teams. But this is his program. And he has taken a program and he has rebuilt it. And we're in this beautiful arena and the beautiful practice facility because of Kelvin Sampson and what he demanded, the commitment. And, you know, what a tribute to the administration and the coaching staff. And, you know, for all of the alumni and all the past players, could not be more proud of this team and the program that Kelvin Sampson is building here at the University of Houston.
It would be a thrill to see it back to the similar types of success that you guys enjoyed. Merrill in and out with the long three, and Brooks comes away with it for the Cougars. Jerome all the way.
Hey, you know, that's back to what we were joking about earlier. They list this kid at 6'4", but those long arms and long legs. Look at the stride. Look how quick he gets up the floor. He took 3 dribbles and he went the length of the floor and ended up underneath the basket. And this kid played the first game of the year, and then he was working hard to regain his eligibility. This is now either his second or third game back, and he's just going to get better and better. Boy, a really elite level defender, Dejan Jerome.
Well, some pretty explosive athleticism. How about that? A little triple team right there on Merrill.
Yeah, Merrill getting a lot of attention.
Oh, and that one rejected by Gresham. His 21st block of the season. Brooks will pull for 3. Not there for him.
Good rebound.
Davis. Boy, I'll tell you what. This is a tough night. Tough night to be shooting from, let's say, 7 feet and in on either side.
Well, I think Keita just got his second foul, and I don't know. I think they called it on Keita, but the foul was on John Knight. Who'd they call it on?
Yeah, they called it on Keita, his second.
Oh, boy, I tell you what, Craig Smith, and that's one of the things that you can review and make sure you got the foul called on the right player. And I don't think it was Keita Smith, and I'm not sure that Craig Smith knows that. Yeah, he does. You just can't leave him out there with 2 fouls and still 9 minutes to go in the first half. You know, it's interesting. A lot of coaches, and there's been a lot of talk of it early in this season, more so than I've heard before. And it's a coaching philosophy, right? If you're at home and you have a guy that gets 2 quick fouls, a lot of times you'll gamble and you say, you know, you can play smart and you'll gamble he won't pick up his third. But not many coaches will leave a guy on the floor when you're on the road and you've picked up 2 quick fouls.
Well, as a team now, Utah State with 7 fouls, so Houston in the bonus the rest of the way this half. A 2-point game. Well, Merrill just absolutely harassed out there and a foul called.
Well, comes into the game averaging 20 points per game, and he is getting an enormous amount of attention from Kelvin Sampson's defense. And on the ball screen, and what they're doing is this push down, NBA blue, pushing him away from a screen. And instead of matching up with him as he comes off of it, they're just leaving both players there, and they're double teaming him almost every time he touches the ball. You know, whoever's setting that screen needs to slip that screen and present himself, and Sam Merrill is an outstanding passer. He will find you and get you the ball.
Well, inside 10 on the shot clock. It's at 7 seconds. Brown has been pretty big in this first half. You can't make anything happen from down there. He's good. Very few are that good. Alley looking for an opening, nothing there. Davis so quick, and he finds something on the left side, but it's one and done again.
Yeah, really tough to make a running 1-footer going away from the basket and across your body. And not a good shot. Inside
Taylor, he'll give it up. Knight down low for Brown, and he does spin it up there this time.
Yeah, really good find by John Knight.
Boy, Dwayne Brown, last year he started all but one of their games. This year, content coming off the bench, and it does give Utah State a different look. He has had a huge impact. Giroux with a carry.
Good call. Came off of that and hesitated with his hand underneath the ball. And Dejon Giroux's been good off of the bench, but Utah State keeping their lead up by 4 as we go to break.
Pretty entertaining start to this one. Look, it took a little while for these two teams to get their feet on the ground, but at this point now we're starting to see what they can do. 3-point shooting hasn't been a friend to the Cougars early on.
Now, defensively, the Aggies have been outstanding. So coming into this game, when you're playing University of Houston, you say, look, there's 2 things we have to do. If you're Craig Smith, you've got to run the Cougars off the 3-point line, and you can't give them layups. And the not giving them layups becomes more difficult with Keita on the bench with 2 fouls for Craig Smith. But defensively, they have been outstanding. Houston has not had a clean look at the basket behind the 3-point line the entire first half.
4-point game, and Utah State with the basketball out of the break. Slightly new look for Utah State. Abel Porter in the game now in the left corner, but once again it's Brown. That's 13 points for him already.
Boy, he just literally put his head down, put the ball down with his left hand, and went right by Cedric Alley. And no rotation, no help, and boy, that was too easy for Dwayne Brown.
Knocked out of bounds by Taylor. 16 on the shot clock on the inbounds play here, and Giroux couldn't get himself open. Get it to him anyway up top. Giroux, a little out of control.
But when you go into the lane, if you can't get to the basket, the last thing you want to do is jump off of 1 foot. Dejan Giroux, when you see the paint, you don't have anything to do. That's the time to either keep your dribble alive or jump stop. Come to a stop with both feet, then turn and pivot and stay under control.
Speaking of control, Porter almost lost it there. They get into the hands of Brown, and Brown turns it over briefly. Merrill for three. Well, he's one of the best in the country, but not getting many opportunities early on.
Shoots 42% behind the line coming into this game. Anything over 40% from the three-point line is an outstanding percentage.
Giroux in a little trouble with it. Davis. And Brown once again there to pull down the rebound. Up ahead, Taylor, what a look! In and out though, and Fabian White will clear it. Robinson. Out of bounds. Off of Utah State. The initial call was errantly pointing the other direction, but that will stay with Houston.
Well, look, I know I keep saying the same thing, but defensively, Utah State, boy, they have been outstanding. The Cougars cannot get any rhythm going at all, and just no clean shots at the basket and no open driving lanes, and a really good first half on the defensive end by Utah State.
Whoa. A little extra, and that one is going to go against Cedric Alley Jr.
Oh, that was a dribble handoff. That wasn't supposed to be a screen, and credit Sam Merrill, heads up play. Instead of allowing Cedric Alley just to run by him, he actually leaned over, got in his way, so it looked like it was a moving screen, and that was not the intent of the offensive set.
6-point game and an open look for three. Quinn Taylor, the senior from Houston, and that's the biggest lead of the night for Utah State.
Quinn Taylor knocking down a three, shoots just under 40%, and right now Kelvin Sampson really frustrated with his team, and I think probably on both ends. They're not getting good looks, they're not executing, and watch right here, this is that it was just a handoff and was just running by him. That was not an intended screen, and Cedric Alley saying, wait, how can that be a foul? I wasn't trying to screen him. Heads up play by Sam Merrill.
Well, it's a 7-0 run at the moment for Utah State. And has them out front now by 9. And look, Utah State came in, it was a tough year last year. Turnover, the coaching staff, Craig Smith, came in and he looked at the stats. He said, well, let's see, we're giving up 73, 74 points per game. We're going to need to improve defensively. And they had so far this year for their first 11 games. Now, you'll look at the numbers and you say, well, have they faced anybody like Houston yet? And they've had some big games, but they have shown us tonight that this is a Utah State team that can play defense with anybody. Brown.
Yeah, that's a travel. Good call. Well, you know, you talk about this team and what has to be one of the most historically bad preseason prognostications is the fact that somebody thought this was the 9th best team in the Mountain West Conference. Look, they are much more likely to push Nevada up at the top of the standings than they are to finish 9th. This is a good basketball team. Well, that Nevada team, Eric Musselman, and what he's got going.
Really good ball
I didn't
club.
get carried away and said they were gonna beat them, but
push them.
But they're gonna push them.
A good drive that time, Merrill, and he this time just took it into his own hands, and the junior got to the rack.
An 11-point lead for Utah State for the season. They come into this game 9-2. When they lead at half, they are 9-0. When they trail, they are 0-2. Right now, they're on a 9-0 run.
Worth pointing out, too, they've done this last little run of theirs without Keita on the floor. It's a 9-0 run and an opportunity for Brown. He'll try to give it up, but he walks again. That's twice now for him.
You know, same thing we talked about with Dejan Giroux, and now we've twice seen Dwayne Brown get into the paint out of control and not jump stop.
4:22 to go in the half. And the Cougars need to get something going. The 20th ranked team in the country being tested right now by Utah State.
Average 75 points per game. Here they are with 4 minutes left in the first half, sitting at 16.
Inside Fabian White.
Good hustle.
Excellent hustle that time by Galen Robinson just to keep the play alive. It will go back with Utah State with that tremendous effort.
Yeah, really good defense that time by Brock Miller for Utah State. Boy, Galen Robinson Jr. came in there and boy, he went straight up and really did a nice job of contesting that shot. Well, Kelvin's just going to keep running guys in until he finds something positive and something that's working.
Well, we have seen it before. Nate Hinton just checked in the game. The freshman from North Carolina at times can really change the dynamic on the offensive end. We'll see what difference he makes. Taylor turns and takes it to the rack.
Man. Quinn Taylor just absolutely threw it down on Fabian White. I mean, nothing fancy about that. Got the ball at the top of the key, put it down, and just absolutely threw it on. Utah State on an 11-0 run, up by 13.
Well, Utah State has certainly made a statement here in the first half. You look at the shooting percentages, and Houston at 23%, easily the lowest they have come up with in a first half this year.
Behind the three-point line right now, Utah State holding the Cougars 34% below their season average. They shoot 34%. The Cougars have yet to knock down a three, and in fact, they're having problems scoring from anywhere on the floor. They are scoreless the last 5 minutes and 14 seconds. They've had 5 turnovers during that stretch and 5 missed shots.
Well, they have the basketball here, and they still have time to turn things around a little bit. Fabian White too strong, and right there Nate Hinton, and he'll get it to fall in.
Yeah, when things aren't working well on the offensive end, go get one off the glass and stick it back in the basket.
Student section trying to make some noise and cause some disruption. Miller with a walk, another turnover for Utah State. Just the 4th turnover of the half for the Aggies. Davis looking inside. Hinton open on the far side wing, and they'll swing it around to him.
Excellent defense. Double team and recover back on the perimeter. Very well done.
8 on the shot clock. And inside they go, and Fabian White will get his own rebound and a foul call.
Yeah, that's a good call. Fabian White pushed Dwayne Brown in the back after he missed that little jump hook over his left shoulder. And again, just outstanding defense. Watch this. He misses the shot and then turns around and just shoves him in the back. He shoved Quinn Taylor in the back.
White's first foul. Utah State, their largest lead and a chance to extend it. Porter on the drive. And a foul out on the perimeter against Corey Davis. Second against Davis.
Abel Porter giving Craig Smith some good minutes here in the first half.
Davis comes away with a defensive rebound. Up ahead quickly, and Giroux alone in the corner for 3.
That is Dejan Giroux's first three-point field goal made of the season, and the Cougars' first three-point field goal made of this game. And boy, after that last timeout, much better energy from Houston than the last 45 seconds of this game.
So they carve in just a little bit here to the Utah State lead, enough so that Craig Smith and the Aggies take a timeout. Kelvin Sampson, you've mentioned it. He was looking for some combination, some way to mix it up, find something that would work for him. And Giroux in there, Hinton in there, seemed to have I don't know, maybe combine to get a little something going.
Well, you know, that's the luxury when you have that many players, right? You just keep rotating them in and rotating them in until something clicks. And this team, if Utah State thought this Houston team was going to go away because they got down, they didn't pay attention in the scouting report. This is a team that will fight and grind the entire game.
Boy, Brown underneath again, and that was a broken play. It just happened to work out perfectly for the seniors. 10-point game, 2 minutes to go, first half. Another turnover, and that's been a real problem for the Cougars in this first half. An unusual problem for them.
It was their 7th turnover of the first half.
And you see, Utah State has turned that into a 10-point advantage, and right now that's the difference in the game. Underneath.
Yeah, good defense.
I'll tell you, he's an exciting player, but he gets a little out of control at times.
It's kind of a high risk, high reward, right? He has made some very, very nice plays, Dwayne Brown, but well, he has been out of control. That is his 3rd turnover where he just kind of lost control of his body.
So a 10-point game, and Cougars with an opportunity. Giroux trying to make something out of nothing. Might have forced it. Inside they go again to Brown. Boy, he's been active.
Yeah,
that's going to be offensive.
Yeah. Well, he is high energy, isn't he? I mean, he gets that ball and he's looking to score, and just took that left arm and hooked it around the back of Galen Robinson.
Yeah, I just wonder if he was revving a little hot in the last couple of trips down, and he comes off the floor. He is off. And John Knight, the 3rd, checks in for him.
Well, not only has Utah State done this with Cada on the bench, but also with their leading scorer, Sam Merrill, being held to just 4 points in the first half.
10 on the shot clock. Davis leaning in, and nothing there. And another big defensive rebound by Quinn Taylor.
Well, he's a rugged kid, isn't he? I mean, big, tough, and you know, he gets in there and mixes it up.
And I'll tell you what, they love every rebound. There's none that looks any better than the other to Utah State. These Aggies love to get rebounds.
Now, 4th in the country in rebound margin coming into this game.
Oh, Giroux with a great move, and that one will fall. Wow. That's been a little bit of the tail of the half for Houston. So no shot clock, a 10-point advantage for the Aggies, and a lot for Kelvin Sampson to think about and talk about with his club at the break here. Oh, and a turnover gives Houston one final opportunity with 6.5 seconds.
Yeah, that was a weird play. Sam Merrill came off of a down screen, and he had already squared his body up, and it's like he didn't even know the ball was coming. His hands were down by his side and just threw it out of bounds.
Giroux. He'll try to take it to length. And that one will not count for Davis. Now John Knight got a hand on that one in a big way, and Utah State showed they can play a little defense and hang.
Yeah, he got a lot of hand on that one, and man, what a great half for Utah State. They were outstanding on the offensive end, but man, they were spectacular on the defensive end, and perfect way to end the half for the Aggies by John Knight.
Right, fascinating first half. The 20th ranked team of the country, the Houston Cougars, held to 21 points. It's a team that averages 75 points per game. So you want to analyze this first half. To me, it's as simple as Utah State came to play some defense.
Well, so 75 points per game. So what is that? We'll say 35 per half, right? 36 per half. Yep. So they are 15 points below their average. They're shooting in the teens, 1 for 7, and there's no doubt. I mean, the story of the first half was defensively. Utah State dominated this game. They were good offensively. They weren't great, Well, boy, they were great down on the defensive end.
Right, I think when you look at the numbers for Houston, you could say Houston played okay defensively. It's not like they did anything terrible defensively. They just couldn't get anything going down at that end.
Well, you know, if you're Kelvin Sampson, you got Cato on the bench and Merle not making shots. You think, well, we ought to be in pretty good shape. Not so much. He's got a challenge to get his guys to come out and play harder.
Okay, you know Houston's a very good team, 20th ranked team in the country, 10-0, one of just 9 undefeated teams. What can they do in the second half?
It's about energy, and they've got to come out and play hard.
All right. Well, for Houston Cougars fans, they can take some solace in that this is not exactly new territory for the Cougars of late.
You know, they dig themselves holes, and then they play as hard as they can and climb their way out. They found themselves in that situation against LSU. They found themselves in that situation late in the game until Corey Davis knocked down that shot the other night against St. Louis. And again, we talked about it being one of the keys to this game. The challenge is for Kelvin Sampson and these Cougars, Utah State 9-0 when they go into the locker room leading at halftime.
Now against LSU, Cougars were down by 10 at the half. Came back to win that one. Down 10 today at half. What will happen in the final 20 minutes? All right, nothing to be nervous about yet for those young fans. There's still plenty of time in this one. But in that first half, Reed, we talked globally about what happened in that first half. One thing, if you really want to zero in on a factor, Dwayne Brown Jr. was huge for Utah State.
Came into the game this evening averaging 11 points per game, came off the bench for Craig Smith and just exploded. Had 15 points in the first half, and boy, he got them all over the floor. And then add into the 15 points, he also had 5 rebounds, and the only player in the first half in double figures, Dwayne Brown, was outstanding on the offensive end.
That got a little bit of it done on the defensive end too. He was certainly a very active player in that first half. Now the Cougars, you said, they didn't do everything poorly in the first half. Offensively, they just didn't have many looks.
Fabian White came in and got a good look inside the paint, but boy, they just had a hard time getting anything going. Corey Davis knocked down a shot, but nobody for Houston in double figures, and they just struggled to get anything going on the offensive end. Defensively, they were okay. I mean, defense was good enough to keep them in the game, but boy, it was just the inability to not make shots in the first half.
Now a little pressure now on these Houston Cougars in the second half. What would be the one thing that they have to do?
They've got to execute better on the offensive end. And you say, okay, well, what does that mean? That's easy to say. They've got to cut with a purpose. They've got to run their sets. Look, this team is 10-0, not because they're super elite talented. They're 10-0 because they played really, really hard. And so they've got to be able to handle success, right? So they came out on the first half like, we're 10-0, we're ranked, we can beat this team. Well, you know what? No, you can't. If you don't play your absolute best and your hardest, you will lose this game to Utah State.
There'll be a lot of people who will lose to Utah State this year. They're going to sneak up on some folks. You look at the first half stats, just 23% from the floor for U of H. Even in rebounds, they were unable to distribute the ball very much, but they didn't have many makes. You can't get assists if you don't make shots. And turnovers, such a big key in that first half. 20 minutes left to go. Cougars with their hands full. You are watching the American Conference on ESPN, and the Houston Cougars representing the American tonight. They have their hands full with Utah State. Down by 10 as we begin the second half. The best stats guy in the business, Reed, Gene Duffy, just handed me this note about it being the lowest offensive output in the first half for the Cougars this year. Great start here in the second half. I'd forgotten that UT Rio Grande Valley held them to 21 points in the first half of that game a little over a month ago.
I had forgotten that also. But, listen, Utah State ranks 7th nationally in field goal percentage defense. And so the fact that they're really defending well is not a surprise. What was surprising is that they did it without this kid on the floor. Cada picked up 2 quick fouls, and he was out of the game, and Utah State still able to lock down the Cougars. So a very good opening possession for Houston. Let's see if they get another good, clean look at the basket.
Well, you know that Kelvin Sampson had a few things to say.
Yeah.
How much were they listing? Little turnaround, no good. And a battle on the boards. Alley keeps it alive for the Cougars. Wow, what an effort.
Monty Brooks, leading scorer for the Cougars, did not score in the first half.
In the corner, Alley, 3-ball.
Well, that takes a 10-point lead down to 5 in a hurry. And Corey Davis, that's the challenge of trying to defend Sam Merrill. He is so good catch and shoot that when you close out to him, you got to close out with hands off. Because if your hands are on him, they're going to call that. And, well, one thing you can't do is put Sam Merrill on the free throw line.
Yeah, 91% shooter at the line. He'll give up a shot inside. Taylor went in with a shoulder and a foul called. That one will go against the Cougars.
Well, there were some good things for Galen Robinson and his team in the first half. They did a nice job rebounding, but they kept Sam Merrill off of the free throw line. We keep talking about that 91%, but he did not attempt a free throw in the first half.
He tried to get it into him, but nothing there. Cada instead will take it. Out to Ainge. Up top, Miller. Too strong. Ooh, an incidental contact, but Taylor will pick up a foul.
Quentin Taylor had a good first half. His homecoming to Houston had 7 points and 5 rebounds starting this game.
So his second foul of the night. Davis. Wow. Very fortunate to get rid of that one.
Good double team.
A timeout taken by the Cougars. Smart call that time. Breon Brady saving a potential turnover. 2 minutes into the second half. Cougars taking some bites out of that lead. Now Craig Smith and his crew talking things over at a 10-point lead at the half. Cougars came right out and answered with a couple of big shots.
You know, they knocked down a nice jump shot, a three-point shot from Cedric Alley in the corner. Breon Brady with a good post-up on the first possession. And then suddenly the Cougars, they've got a little momentum, right? They've got a little bounce in their step and immediately cut 5 points off that 10-point lead. Kelvin Sampson's squad scores this time, and boy, it is really a momentum shift the first 2 minutes of the second half.
Well, let's put it this way. Cougars have made as many three-pointers in the second half as they made in the first. So a much better beginning to half number 2 for them. Robinson finds Davis. Coming out of the timeout, not as much time on the clock. 4 on the shot clock, and Alley can't hit it. But an offensive rebound and a second chance opportunity for the Cougars. You didn't have a ton of those in the first half.
Good double team and recover. Galen Robinson's got a flash to the paint, and he made himself a non-factor. Boy, another offensive rebound.
Alley's been very active in the second half.
It looks like Kelvin Sampson talked to his team about rebounding as well. They did a good job on the boards. This is an outstanding rebounding team, Utah State. And Cougars went toe-to-toe with them, 20-20 rebounds in the first segment.
Aggies going to the big fella, and he'll throw it away. 2-on-2. Brooks for 3. Got it! An 8-0 run for the Cougars.
Started with outstanding defense, the double team, and Cada, a bad fundamental pass out of the double team, and Armani Brooks gets hot, and boy, he can knock down 6 or 7 of those in a hurry. A good quick timeout by Craig Smith, but golly, 10-point lead just in the blink of an eye, down to 2.
Yeah, and that's tough when you're on the road, too. And there's a little energy in the building tonight. Cougars, oh, this program right now, 10-0. It's the first time in better than 50 years where they've started 10-0.
Well, they have done a great job with this home court winning streak. They've won 23 consecutive games at home, and Craig Smith knows that if he's going to break that streak, well, he cannot let Armani Brooks get hot and get going on a roll. And what an important play coming out of the timeout for the Aggies.
So they'll have the basketball. Utah State hasn't been able to find the bottom of the net in this second half. An 8-0 start for Houston. Merrill in and out. Boy, it's just not there for him tonight.
Doing a better job swinging the ball side to side by the Cougars on the offensive end.
Ten seconds on the shot clock. Davis to Alley. It goes down low. Brady's got to get it up, though. Little baby hook, no good. And that'll be a turnover.
I'm not sure Breon Brady appreciated what the shot clock was down to. It was good execution. They got the ball right where they wanted it. And interesting that coming out of the locker room, they're emphasizing slamming that ball inside to Breon Brady, perhaps trying to pick up another quick foul on Neemias Queta.
Queta spent the better part of that first half on the bench with 2 fouls, but it didn't seem to hurt him.
Good defense.
In the lane. And a foul called. Tarian Knight was almost a non-factor in the first half, but fouled on his first look in the paint.
Galen Robinson, oh, I don't know. He dropped that left arm, and maybe that's what it looked like. He drew contact with that left shoulder.
Not a good free throw shooter, 88%.
Yeah, he shot that and backed out so fast.
Three-point game. Nobody on that side of the court. And
no.
Pushing a foul.
Oh, no, he got
travel. Yeah, I thought there was contact there.
Yeah, boy, I tell you what, that's a break for Utah State. Tarian Knight had his left hand in the back of Galen Robinson and shoved him off balance, and they got a break on that one.
Well, it wasn't a real long climb to get back into this one. The Cougars have made it a game. Great run to start the second half. Now, you look at the points off turnovers stat for the game, and you'd say that's not the prettiest thing in the world for the Cougars. That's 6-1, though, this half.
Now, 10 turnovers, those points for Utah State. Utah State with 9 turnovers. And Craig Smith's team dodged one right there. Momentum was back on the side of University of Houston. They cut that 10-point lead down to just 2, and then got away with a shove in the back. And so great opportunity for the Aggies to come down, have a good possession, and boy, they need to get Sam Merrill going and see if they can't get him a look. Now, we bragged a lot on the Aggies defense, and we ought to do the same about Corey Davis. He has been matched up with Sam Merrill the entire game.
Merrill falling away, cannot get his feet set for a good shot today. Now, the Cougars are on a 13-3 run, going back to the 3:55 mark last quarter. Alley on the drive, and he'll have a chance for 3.
He looked at the basket, and I thought, oh no, don't shoot that, but a poor closeout by Dwayne Brown and a good, tough, aggressive finish by Cedric Alley.
Well, he got rid of that right in the nick of time.
Yeah,
too.
he did.
And he's good for the three-point play. A 16-3 run. Taylor. Oh, what a night he's having.
But did such a nice job of keeping that ball away from Bryson Grisham. He had that ball way over outside of his right shoulder as he put it up on the glass. A zone defense for the first time from Utah State. 2-3 zone. Nice adjustment.
And Ali fires the three, and the rebound out to Utah State. They'll move it up quickly. Knight lost it. It'll stay with the Aggies.
You know, Cedric Alley's a 27% three-point shooter, and it sure seems like he takes a disproportionate number of shots out there. Maybe one of those situations where he goes, Coach, I was open. You think?
Yeah, exactly. There might be a reason.
He might be settling too often. And again, he's shown that he can knock them down, but boy, I would sure like to see him be more aggressive and attack the rim like he did 2 possessions ago.
Yeah. On the other hand, the other side of that is if you're going to shoot with confidence, and he does hold confidence.
He does do that.
Taylor has it stripped.
Well, both teams have gone really small on the floor right now.
Oh, Davis with the floater. 8 points for Corey Davis. Brown again inside, and he has it stripped. Inside 14 to go. Alley passed up that time. Brooks from way out there.
Good hustle by Cedric Alley.
Beast on the boards.
Let me tell you something. Cedric Alley was 25 feet from the basket on the left side. He got that offensive rebound almost at the three-point line in the opposite corner. You talk about rebounding effort. Holy cow. Cedric Alley, that's your role. That's what you're out there to do. And man, you talk about rebounding out of position. Holy smokes, good effort.
And now Brooks for 3. Cougars on top for the first time in this ball game. Davis. And a foul.
Now that is the 3rd consecutive steal down on the defensive end by University of Houston, and 2 of them have been Corey Davis. Look at the good hands. He comes in there and just pokes that ball loose. Nice play by Corey Davis, and nice job just drawing that contact, getting to the free throw line where Corey Davis has been very good. A 94% free throw shooter. He is 29 for 31. Oh, they called that on the ground.
Yep, so no chance at the line. The other upside of that,
I don't know about that,
was Merrill. Brooks will get a 3-point shot out of it. And Merrill takes down the rebound. Sam Merrill, for what it's worth, has been held to 4 points for Utah State.
Came into the game averaging 20.
Kick out into the corner, Brown. Utah State out of sorts. Robinson.
Oh my goodness, Kelvin Sampson about to blow a gasket.
Quick one inside to Keita, he's fouled.
You know, it's one of those situations, Galen Robinson, you tell your point guard, penetrate until they make you stop. And nobody stopped him, and I don't think he really I think he just got out of control. And Kelvin Sampson right now talking to him and grabbed him and slapped him on the butt. And Galen said, my bad, I know.
White picked up his second foul. Inbounds to Brown.
Yeah, that's Armani Brooks' fault. He chased a screener up there, offered no help at all on a diagonal up screen.
Brown with 17 points for the Aggies. Giroux with the crossover. "12 minutes to play." Oh my. Don't you know it? Brown right there along with Giroux. They tie up. It'll stay with Utah State. Oh, we've seen a lot of stuff here. Not the least of which was Keita trying to drive the lane on the little spin dribble. It's a 1-point game. My Cougars by 1.
It happened fast, didn't it?
It happened fast.
I mean, a 10-point lead going into the locker room in the first half, coming out just evaporated in about 90 seconds. And Utah State with only 2 field goals here in the second half. They've only scored 5 points since halftime in the first 8 minutes of this second half.
I'll tell you, one of the other things that stands out for me, Cougars 10 rebounds this half. Utah State only 4. And we talked about it a little bit at the break. Utah State, they love to rebound, and Houston made some adjustments. And they pulled down the first rebound out of the break.
Now, that was really good execution again on a baseline out of bounds play coming out of that timeout. A very good look for Sam Merrill. A little flare screen and executed perfectly. Good look, and just can't knock down a shot in this game.
10 on the shot clock for the Cougars. Davis can't find anything. Into Breon Brady. Out to Giroux with 2 seconds on the clock, and he'll rattle it out. Brown with another rebound for Utah State. He has 7 of those to go along with 17 points. Miller for 3. Got it.
Yeah, he's too good to go underneath the screen with no help. Brock Miller, a 30% three-point shooter. He's knocked down a couple in this game. I think you've got to go over the top with him.
He's a streaky one, too. He'll get going at times. He's been in a little bit of a scuffle lately. Giroux.
Good defense.
In too much company. Stays with it, and it will stay with Houston.
Yeah, really nice defense that time by Abel Porter. And Utah State doing the same defensive scheme the Cougars do, that on-the-ball screen. They do the NBA. A lot of teams call it blue, where they blue the screen and they push the ball away from the screener and force him to go the other direction. And executed very well that time by Utah State.
Now Brooks will pull it back out. 10 on the shot clock. Giroux. Down the right side. Oh, boy.
Oh, man.
Yes, Keita. He is something.
Oh, man.
Goodness.
It doesn't matter because they called a foul, but goodness. He blocked that ball about at his chin level, pinning it on the backboard. You just got to know he's coming. And so if you're Breon Brady, when you see him leave you, you can't just stand there. You need to dive to the basket with him and present yourself as an option.
So Giroux, a little better than 71% from the line. Hits the first.
Again, just his 4th game this season. The Cougars have played 10. Dejan Giroux, that was his 15th free throw of the season.
All right, good on both. New ball game. 10:33 to play. Brown pulls. Not there for him. And it's one and done again. Nothing there for Brady. Found an open man. Brooks for three. Yes.
A really good job by Cedric Alley. He caught the ball in the corner. He looked at the rim like he was going to shoot a three, drew the defense to him, and then gave the ball up. And really good decision-making by Alley.
Boy, at some point, I almost feel sorry for Merrill.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Corey Davis, that's got to be his 4th steal of this game, of this second half. He has come up with every ball.
Giroux flying through. There's your biggest lead of the night for the Cougars. Craig Smith needs a timeout.
Yeah, really good spacing right now for the Cougars. Look as Dejan Giroux comes right into your living room. Look how spread out everybody is on the floor. And what that does is it creates those driving lanes, but so much distance has to be covered. And here's that three-pointer I was talking about with Cedric Alley. But look, he didn't just give it up. He looked at the rim, and so you dictate, you force the defensive player to react to you by being a scoring threat, and you're not going to be a scoring threat if you don't look up at the rim. So he catches the ball, he looks up, draws the defense to him, makes the smart, fundamentally sound pass out to Armani Brooks. And let me tell you something. Cedric Alley has been really good in this game. He's been really good here in the second half. And I know I was critical of him because he's taken too many threes and he's settling. But, man, his energy and his motor right now has been really, really good.
Yeah, he really got things started on the glass.
Yeah, on the glass.
Half.
I mean, we were talking about it. He must have, I'm telling you, he got an offensive rebound where he must have covered 50 feet on the court to come up with the ball.
There are your rebound totals for the game. Remember, it's 20-20 at half. And on the offensive boards, Houston's finally found a way to get extra opportunities.
Good defense.
Ainge, and he's rejected. Great save back in. The Cougars are on the run. Brooks for three. Yes!
Armani Brooks with 0 points at halftime now has 12 points in the first 13 minutes of the second half.
Ainge will inbound. Cougars on a 10-0 run. And the strong take in the lane, no good. And battle for the rebound, and this one will go back with the Cougars.
Now listen, the first half, and justifiably so, we talked constantly about how good the defense was for the Aggies. Well, we can just flip that script, because right now defensively, the University of Houston has been outstanding here in the second half defensively. Yeah, you have to call that.
I'm sorry, Crew Ainge.
You did it before I did. I almost called him Austin a while ago and called him his brother. If you're wondering, is that the Ainge that you think it is? The answer is yes, it is. That would be Danny Ainge's youngest son, Crew Ainge.
The youngest of 6, and a little bit like his dad. His dad would occasionally get called for those out on the perimeter and throw the hands up like, wow, who, me? Yeah, sometimes. All right, Cougars with the 8-point lead and the basketball.
Good ball movement.
Alley will go for it. Merrill Didn't take long to pick up some defense. Lot of bodies falling all over the place.
Yeah, boy, I tell you what, that sure looked like an offensive foul before the foul that Sam Merrill drew. And Kelvin Sampson out on the court trying to get an explanation. But the Cougars have come alive, up by 8.
All right, it's an 8-point game, and we're just trying to look at that last play to see if we can get a slightly better look.
What they're trying to determine was whether Sam Merrill was on the three-point line or not when he drew that foul. We'll take a look at it, see if you can see the low angle. He up fakes, he's behind the line, and then, boy, you just can't tell from that angle.
Yeah, I think
it's really tough to tell because he's clearly behind the line. He up fakes, and then watch him step forward. His left foot as he steps forward, just really hard to tell. That's excellent camera work, guys, by the way.
Now, John Higgins, the head referee, was over here to take a look with us. But nothing conclusive there, at least that I could see. And I didn't get the sense that Higgins saw anything better either.
Well, Kelvin Sampson was furious because he thought it was an offensive foul before that. Sam Merrill, as he came off, Breon Brady rotated over, and Merrill puts his forearm in his chest, and then watch his left forearm. Yeah. He extends it. And so that's where everybody thought the foul was beforehand.
Well, they've determined it'll be a 2-shot foul. Now, we mentioned it, 91% from the line, and this is his first opportunity today.
His 5th point of the game, only his first point here in the second half, and again, came into the game this evening averaging 20 points per game.
Now, this can be a difficult sport, made that much more difficult when you have to wear Corey Davis around with you all night.
No doubt. Adjustment, a full court press coming off that made free throw.
6-point lead. Cougars break the pressure.
From back into a 2-3 zone. Boy, if you're Utah State, you got to know where Armani Brooks is on the floor if you're going to run a zone.
And there he is. Found him. That might be the first place you look.
Yeah, there's Corey Davis again. I'm telling you, that is that kid's 5th time that when the ball's on the floor, he has come up with it. Golly, has he been good defensively. Yeah, if I'm Kelvin Sampson, I applaud that effort also.
Now, he's right now at about half of his offensive production on average, but he's been a much bigger factor on the defensive end. Tipped and kept alive. Knight underneath. Houston basketball.
Look, if you're Utah State, I don't think you can run a 2-3 zone right now the way that the Cougars have heated up. I think you got to stay matched up in your man-to-man. Yeah, they're back to the man-to-man. They just did that out the made free throw, falling back from their full court pressure.
Giroux. So Aggies up ahead quickly into the corner, and it's in and out. Davis can't hit. Corner for Taylor.
Yeah, that's going to be a secondary defender on the pass off. I think Breon Brady was in the restricted arc, and that'll be 1-and-1 for Utah State. No, he's well outside the restricted arc.
He wasn't even in the lane.
No, I saw his feet on the line, and that was the lane that he was standing on.
So Taylor, 69% free throw shooter. Well, they've got to make some of these.
Now, if you're Houston, you do not want this game to turn into a free throw shooting contest with Utah State. They are a terrific shooting team. 77%, #1 in the Mountain West Conference. And boy, Quinn Taylor is probably the least accurate. He's at 70%, and everybody else really good free throw shooting team. And Quinn Taylor's had a nice game. That's now 11 points and 7 rebounds for Quinn Taylor.
All right, post, alley. Davis had it for a moment. Brooks, 9 on the shot clock. Down the right side. Can't roll it in. Brady with a reach. Wow. Taylor again.
Now, the second half, Quinn Taylor's been the best player on the floor for Utah State.
Davis got a screen, but it was moving. Brady whistled with a foul.
Yeah, but that's Corey Davis's fault. He has to wait for that screen to get there. It seems like every broadcast you and I talk about the fact that it's better to be late than early. Wait until that screen gets there. Wait until you hear both feet pop the floor before you go and come off of it.
Brady's second foul. Brown on the big first half. Brito get to the line.
Now, if you're looking for offense, if you're Utah State, Brito has had some good games shooting the ball. That's a good call. Absolutely hit the shooting elbow. But boy, you think Dwayne Brown, this is the perfect chance for him to provide an offensive spark when suddenly the Aggies have been struggling. Look, Utah State, if you want to get back in the game, this is the way to do it, right? You get to that free throw line where everybody on the team seems like is an 80% free throw shooter, and Diogo Brito is an 88% shooter.
Well, he missed the second, but they get the offensive rebound, and Knight will get himself to the line. Well, it's just a parade of free throws all of a sudden for the Aggies.
Again, 77% as a team. Now, most teams will shoot over 70%. If you're under 70, that's really bad. If you're over 75, that's outstanding. And Kelvin Sampson knows 77%. That's a team you do not want this to turn into a free throw shooting contest.
Knight, 65% free throw shooter, and he got the second one. All right, 5-point game.
Good spacing.
Alley passed up on it. Fabian White. Left hand won't fall. Now the rebound for Quinn Taylor. A tie up. Yep. Houston basketball.
I'm impressed with Craig Smith. You know, because he lets guys be themselves, and he realizes there's going to be, when you allow guys high energy to come in off the bench, and whether it's Dwayne Brown or John Knight, and I looked at him, I thought he was going to be furious, and he just clapped. And he said, that's okay, get up, let's go. Craig Smith, there's a reason that he's off to the best start for a first-year coach in the history of the program.
Brooks had a good look. Knocked out of bounds. The last touch by Houston.
Armani Brooks was 0 for 3 behind the three-point line in the first half. He is now 5 for 9 in the second half.
Merrill. Well, that's a guy, they want him to keep trying. That was one of the better looks, quite honestly, that he's had.
6 points for Sam Merrill.
Amazing. Alley, in and out. Knight brings it up quickly for Utah State. Whoa! They're tangled up.
Yeah, hang on a second. Galen Robinson hit his head on the court when he went down.
Whoa. Boy, a lot of bodies going a lot of different directions. Inside 4 to play. What a game.
Now the Cougars have gotten back in this game behind the three-point line, and Armani Brooks could not knock down a shot. Missed all three-point field goal attempts in the first half. Second half, boy, he has come alive. He has made 6 three-pointers, 5 three-pointers in the second half. The Cougars are 6 for 16 from behind the line in the second half. And boy, that has been the difference, the shooting of Armani Brooks.
The Cougars have turned it around in the second half. They were down by 10 at the break. Now with a 5-point lead, 3:20 to play. Going inside for Fabian White. Nothing there. All right, well, 10 on the shot clock. Have to make an earnest effort to get it in there. And a push foul from behind.
Fabian White, we talked about, has missed a lot of games this year. Has only been back a little while, but off to a very good start at the free throw line. Coming into this game, 7 for 9 from the free throws.
Well, Taylor's 4th foul. We'll see what sort of a factor that becomes. There's 3 minutes remaining in this one, and Taylor's had a big game.
Yeah,
13
he has.
points, 9 boards. White now with 7 points tonight. Well, that was a quick call right there. And yeah, Kelvin Sampson not tickled with that one.
Well, I got to be honest with you. I wasn't watching, so I didn't see where it was. And well, if that was a foul, then we've missed a lot of fouls in this game.
Fabian White charged with that one, and the free throw no good by Taylor. It's a 10th team foul against the Cougars. "14 points, 9 rebounds for the Houston area product, Quinn Taylor."
Good for him.
Yep.
Yeah, come home in front of family and friends and have a good basketball game.
Robinson fouled on the take.
Yeah, they called goaltending.
Oh.
So he put that ball on the glass, and it's a change in the rules last year that once the ball's on the glass, you used to be able to take the ball, pin it on the glass, and now once it hits the glass, if it's above the rim, you have to let it go.
And believe it or not, it gives Robinson 3 points. And a quiet night offensively for him. The work's been done on the defensive end. Brown, 19 points tonight for him to lead all scorers.
Yeah, look, if I'm Utah State, that's where I go. The rest of this game, I put that ball in Dwayne Brown's hands and see if he can go win this game for you.
Inside 2 to play. Alley passed up on it. 8 seconds. Brooks over to Alley again. Fabian White.
Boy, good look. Point blank for Fabian White.
Brown underneath, lost it. Robinson will kick it out. Yeah, good opportunity to take a little time.
Yeah, Galen Robinson lost that ball as he was going through. He was trying to get it to Corey Davis for a clean look on a quick three, and he just could not get a handle on it.
6-point game. Just got that one off. But a 2-possession game. And the Cougars might just have salted that one away.
Look, in order for a travel to be called, you have to establish a pivot foot. If you dive on the floor and you grab the ball and you're sliding, this is not a travel. There is no pivot foot, and you can actually turn with the ball when you're on the floor as long as you're not turning to get away from a defensive player. If you're laying on the floor, if you're Galen Robinson, you're laying on the floor and somebody's over you trying to grab the ball and you're rolling away from them, that's a travel even though you haven't established a pivot foot. But that's not what that play was, and Utah State coaches out there saying that's got to be a travel, and that is not a travel, and that was a good no call by these officials.
Yeah, it looked like me on the slip and slide back in the 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, that was...
But again, I mean, how can that be a travel,
Yeah,
right? You have to have establish a pivot foot, and then the real question was, you know, once you're laying on the floor, what can you do? A lot of people think, oh, you can't move at all, you know, like your butt's the pivot. You got you got a pivot butt, you know. That's just not what the rule is.
So as long as you're not being actively
Harassed.
defended or harassed.
And if you are, then you do have to stay stationary and try to roll it out to somebody. You can't flop on the floor to stay away from the defensive player. I didn't see anybody come clean the floor during this break. The officials, they may be looking at the clock and see if extra time ran off. Yeah, the officials are trying to review an out of bounds. Remember, the last 2 minutes you can review and see it. And we'll see if we've got a replay for them. You can look at it, and again, they can review at this stage of the game to see if they can tell who it went off of. They do not have a good angle over there at the table. And I didn't see which call they made. I don't know what they're trying to either affirm or overturn.
Yeah, and I don't either. But it's a big, obviously, it's a really big call at this point with 40 seconds left. Here we go.
Yeah, here's a good angle. Yeah, hard to tell whether that went off of the stomach of John Knight or went out of bounds on Galen Robinson. Hey, let me tell you something. Our camera guys have been outstanding tonight.
Right on top of all
right,
of them.
my gosh, we've had some of the best camera angles, and the officials have relied upon our guys repeatedly during this game.
You know, this is not a game that anybody's going to frame and send over to the art museum here in town, but it has been entertaining.
But, you know, we talked about it at the beginning. What did we say? Oh, these are two really high-scoring teams that also like to defend. Well, we talked so much about Utah State's defense in the first half. Look, Utah State averages 84 points per game. They are 34 points below their average. We have seen a really good defensive game from both teams here this evening.
The Aggies have scored 19 points this half.
I think this is the right call. The question is that an illegal substitution? Ooh, John Knight came off late, but I think that's the right call. Galen Robinson slapped that out of Knight's hands, and I don't think it went off his stomach.
Merrill, been a tough night for him. Merrill will have to give it up. Taylor's had the big night. And Alley's had the huge night on the boards.
Now, Cedric Alley, that is now his 11th rebound in this game. No, 10th rebound, and you're exactly right. His energy on the glass has been terrific. Well, again, we've talked about Cedric Alley's hustle and his ability to rebound out of position. He contested the three-pointer up at the top of the key. He was the farthest player away from that basketball when the shot went up. That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
I've loved his game in the second half especially.
I agree.
9-point lead. Cougars have scored more than double what the Aggies have managed this half. 39-19 in the half. Brito stepping away. And the Cougars going to hold on to go 11-0. And it was close. They'll end up winning by 10, the largest margin they had all night. An 11-0 start for the 20th ranked team in the country. It's been 50 years since they've done that.
Yeah, they went into the locker room down by 10, and they will go back to the locker room after having won by 10, and just an outstanding second half of basketball for Kelvin Sampson's basketball team.
A fun one tonight. Not a pretty one, but a fun one tonight. Houston by 10 over Utah State. For Reed Geddes and our entire crew, this is Dave Raymond saying so long from Houston, where once again the Cougars go to 11-0. All games airing on the ESPN networks are streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. It's been a production of ESPN.